we're not just talking about the people that are already out there. We're talking about the people that might find themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
Someone that may be getting walked into a room, unfortunately, either just had it happen or it may be coming up. And when your world gets turned upside down, you start looking for the one or the few things that you can grab onto to kind of get your bearings. And this is something that will alleviate a lot of the extra things that you have to come up with. If you know that you're going to have something in place that's going to allow you to start venturing out into consulting, freelance, portfolio careers, put as many things in place as you can initially so that you don't have to worry about those things as you start to learn what you need to learn. The learning curve is there no matter how seasoned you are. Like I said, program manager, project manager, solutions architect, I can run down a lot of different titles that I've had. As much as it prepared me for running the business. It didn't prepare me for owning the business. And
Hmm.
it gave me a whole new level of respect for the business owners because now I understand some of the decisions that they had to make and the tough calls that they had to make. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And it's the more you can kind of use these things to be able to put a buffer in place that allows you to be able to say, well, I don't have to worry about that. So now it can allow me to focus on this. The further you can get down the road before whatever other shoe might be out there can drop, and you will put yourself in a position where you're in better standing. But I can tell you, and I'm sure you can speak to it as well, when you first start your business or you venture out into that world, you can blow through a lot of money figuring things out.
Yeah.
You can burn through the money trying to find apps and tools that don't necessarily align with what you want. They've got shiny features and it sounds nice, but if you don't have someone to guide you and say, based on what it is that you're trying to get done, this is the one that's going to be the best for you, you could burn through a lot of money. And when you get to the other side of it and you start thinking about how much money you've burnt through, it's a real game changer. It's something that I wanted to make sure that we talked about CowPal because this alleviates a lot of that. Like you don't have to worry about some of it. You don't have to say, well, this program or this tool is something that I know I should probably use, but it's well beyond my understanding of how to be able to use it. So having those kind of integrations, having things that cover different platforms and cover different calendars is going to be really, really important.
And I would say too, just to touch on that point, and I know Sean, you and I have talked about this a lot, but I would be remiss not to mention it here. For anybody who's building a business, whether it's a service-based business or it's a tech business, there is this fallacy that you need to be all in on your business in order for it to be successful. And I'm here to say that that sentiment is laden with privilege. There's so many folks who cannot afford to stop everything else, stop all other revenue streams to work on building the thing. There's a number of folks who do have the ability to do that. These are folks with a lot of generational wealth. Maybe they have a very high earning partner. Maybe they worked really great corporate jobs before and they have amassed crazy savings. But for the rest of us, it is just not a financial viability to cut off all other sources of income to focus on building your business. I am of the opinion that, if you want to build something and you also want to build something from a place of abundance and not a place of fear and feeling like you're operating from a place of scarcity, the best way to do that is to just be doing something. Maybe you're not going to be matching what you were making at your previous job, but the ability to have your basic needs met while you're building something else is so, so powerful. And for many of us, it's not going to come in the forms of going through savings or running through venture dollars. It's going to come in the form of you picking up these different side streams of income. So again, whether this is something that you want to build, you want to build a full-time consulting business for yourself, or you're looking to build a different type of business, but freelancing and side gig work is something that gets you to where you want to be. Both forms of those are completely acceptable. And I think important for folks to keep that in mind.
Very, very important. I think it's something that we've discussed over time in different conversations. It is a fallacy that you can just jump into it and start a business. I just finished talking about how much money was spent. I don't even like to think about the number, but I know I spent thousands and thousands of dollars getting the business up and running. One of the things that I know, it took me finding someone that could explain it to me better, that I was paying for a lot of leads, paying for lead sites and things like that, where they would send me people, but they were sending the leads to all kind of other people as well. So I was getting access to audiences, but I was paying to have a competition that I wasn't armed to be able to compete in properly. And it took me taking a step back and realizing, well, I actually have to work on my business before I can enter into that arena, because I can't have the conversations that they're having. I would get like a lead here and there, but it wasn't the same as what they would be able to draw in, because the conversation would be, well, they offered more features or they have a bigger team. There were different things that I needed to be able to figure out how to address the objections that I would run into. And I think starting with, a side hustle or something where you can kind of ease into it more, it starts to give you the questions that you need to be able to answer. And once you can start to figure out those questions and you can figure out the best approach, then it puts you in a position where you can win more business. So I'm a big believer in crawl, walk, run. Don't necessarily just jump into it, because there are people that, geez, I talk to so many people, they'll jump into saying that they want to start a business. I get calls all the time where people say, well, I want to do this. And I have to have an honest conversation and say, listen, I could take your money, but I'm not going to take your money, because based on what you've laid out for me, you're not there yet. And what I can tell you is I can help you get the foundation that you need so that you can do the things that you want to be able to do. But that's what you would be paying me for. Everything else will come after that. But if you just start with where you're trying to go, there are so many businesses that have to do rebrands and things like that because they didn't put the foundation in place. And then once they got out there and they were in the market, then they had to worry about their reputation and everything else with credibility. And they weren't built for the scale that they wanted to be able to have. They weren't built to compete with people that were more established. Take the time to figure some of these things out, get it right. So then this way, when you want to have those conversations, you can, and you can do it from a place of confidence as opposed to scarcity and just trying to figure out how you're going to be able to generate revenue, because people can smell desperation on you. And some people will avoid you because of it, and some people will seek you out because of it. And that goes back to why CalPal is going to be important, because if you know that you're spending too much time on a client and it doesn't align with how much you're getting paid, that's going to be one of those telltale signs that you need to start addressing what kind of clients you have, what kind of onboarding do you have, what kind of process do you have in place to make sure that you can balance those things out, because you will spend a lot more time going out. And you talked about it for the first year or so, at least for some startups, you don't really see any of that money. So if you know you have more going out than you have coming in, you have to have a way to be able to balance that out.
Completely. Yeah. And again, I think it's also, this whole notion of balance too. Like, I think it's a really tricky one, because when we first started with CalPal, we were like, oh, are we helping with work-life balance? And it's like, no, I think that even within your portfolio of business, there's no such thing as having it balanced. It's having, your time commensurate with the value you're getting back from investing that time. So it's more like about proper work-life integration, and also proper integration within your business, just to make sure proportionally your time is going to things that are, paying you commensurate with that time. So yeah, completely on board.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think, I love the term work-life balance. I don't know that it's something that I will achieve. It's one of those things that's out there. It's an urban legend of, well, you'll always be able to balance it out. I think you have to be very intentional about the way that you go about doing it. And it's hard to get those intentions and put the things in place without knowing what you have to have in place. So when you're starting out, work-life balance is probably not going to be something that's a reality, unless you're doing something where it's more of a side hustle and you can say, well, I'm only going to allot this much time to it. If you jump with both feet, you are fully in it,
Yeah.
and you will not be able to kind of rein that back in for a little while. And we talked about family and the support system. Some people have it, some people don't. For those that have it, you have to make sure that everybody around you understands what you're getting yourself into. So again, that's another reason why we both agree. I think you have to be measured in your approach of entering into entrepreneurship, and corporate portfolio is something that allows you to be able to do that, because you can say, okay, well, I'm able to do this much. I figured this part out. Now I can take on extra clients, or now I can take on a different type of project. And it allows you to be able to kind of measure your time and still check in with the family and things like that to make sure you're not putting so much on them while you're trying to figure out what you're doing. But it also gives you some of the wins so that you can go back and say, listen, you left for work. And when you came back, I wasn't still sitting on the couch or doing the same things that I was doing when you left. Here's the things that I was able to do. So you can map things out. You can have more where you can show people that you are making that extra effort, because at the end of the day, I'm old school. Every time I have someone on as a guest or I have conversations with someone, I always want to make sure that they know that I value their time. So I may come back to them and say, you know what, when we were having the conversation, you said this, here's what I did with it. Because that makes me feel justified in being able to ask for their time again. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with people and they do the start and stop, or they don't even start. And then they want to come back and get more of your time. And my thing is, now I'm aware of my time.
Yeah.
I can't give you that time if you don't do anything with it. So
Right.
Be mindful of that part as well.
Yeah.
Corporate portfolio and easing into it allows you to be able to justify the time and the insights that you may be asking someone for. Because in my experience, if you ask smart questions, people will give you the answer for free. But if they realize you're so early in the process that they're going to have to walk you through every single step, then that's where people need to start charging you for their time, because they know all the things that you don't know and that they're going to have to walk you through. And especially with early stage businesses, the expectations are higher than their revenue
Yeah.
as far as what they're bringing in for you. So I know when I talk to people that are working with latter stage businesses, seasoned businesses, they're like, I don't understand how you work with early stage businesses. Like, you're doing way more work than you would have to do, and you can make more with the seasoned businesses. Thing is, because nobody told me some of the things that I needed to know, and if I can help avoid that for someone else, then it's worth it for me. And as long as I put the things in place necessary to protect me in the situation, it's okay. I'll take a hit every now and then. I will run into some people where I've gotten some angry emails, where I've gotten on consultations and things like that, and I gave people an honest assessment, and they felt like I was, saying, "Well, you're not there yet, and you shouldn't this, you shouldn't
Yeah.
that." That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can do exactly what it is that you want to be able to do, but if you do it that way, here's some of the things that you're going to run into. So it's forecasting, it's the cautionary tales, it's all the different things that you have to tell people, and then a lot of times they end up seeing it later and coming back and going, "Oh my God, you were right." So it's take your time to figure it out. Take your time to make sure that it aligns with what your surrounding circumstances are, because if you do that, then you'll be in a much better position to see the forest for the trees and know what you're getting yourself into.